welcome to this very last fireside chat. Last but definitely not least, Francesco, we met over 2 years ago on Twitter, and we wrote each other on a daily, maybe almost daily basis since then. And we became pretty good friends, and we just for the first time met this summer on WeAreDevelopers.
Exactly, at WeAreDevelopers. About 3 months ago. Already 3 months have passed, more than 3 months.
Is it already 3 months? Okay, holy cow. Okay, Francesco is developer advocate at daily.dev. And today we're going to talk a little bit about DevRel and developer advocacy. There are a lot of questions around what is it, what does one do, and how do you get in the field? And we try to answer a few of those questions today. But tell us, Francesco, a little bit about your career in tech. How did you? I know that before you were a handball coach. That's correct?
Not correct 100%. I was a volleyball coach.
Volleyball coach,
but close enough. Close enough. So
so
before stepping into tech, I was in the sport. Maybe we can also hear some ball noises, but it's okay for me. For me, it's natural. So I think it's also a good background. And yes, Mark. So basically, this was not my life like 10 years ago. I've been in tech just in the last 7 years, but I put 100% of my efforts into that. So it was a hard switch, not just a soft switch. Doing this as a hobby, I decided to stop working as a coach. Some people also cried, and I decided to learn everything. Even if I have a computer science degree, I had basically to start from zero, from the whole internet. How does it work? Building an API. Use Java at the beginning, and here we are.
Yes, and how did you do that? Because from volleyball coach to a developer at the European Space Agency, right?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
I don't know. So, but I'll try to explain how I did it. So basically, I was, as I said, working in a gym. So I decided to just study by myself, and after 3 years, I made internship interview, and I've been rejected for not remembering some SQL commands because I'm very bad at memory, and that was one of the best days in my career as a developer, because after 2 or 3 months, I got another interview for the European Space Agency as a full stack developer. And I got a job, and after 3 days, I started working there. It was December 2017. And I had, of course, 0 online presence. I didn't know what a developer advocate was. Basically, maybe if someone said that, I could think that it was something related to lawyer or something like that. So this was me in 2017. So I can feel that I've been a bit lucky that one of my professors of the university said, Francesco, would you like to make an interview for the European Space Agency? I thought it was a joke. Say, okay. No, it was serious. And then that's the short story. Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty cool story you get there. And let's go back to now you work as developer advocate for daily.dev. But many people it's not clear what is a developer advocate and what do they do. Can you tell us your definition? Because it's
yes.
For me, it's always a little bit not that. I think there's no clear definition. But what's yours?
Yes. Just before I answer, let me tell you that I made this question to about 100 developer advocates, and they have 100 different definitions. So we are not gonna go anywhere today. But my own personal definition, I think the developer advocate is the person in the middle between a company and the developers. So it's basically the person who is basically working in 2 ways. So it needs to get feedback from the community, inform the community about new stuff, So it's basically always a mess because we are basically doing two jobs in two different directions. This is how I see it. And I think it's normal that there are different definitions because DevRel is a huge word. And also developer advocates, they make different things, different activities depending on what the company needs. So they can need more a community builder, more a content creator. I've also, this is not the only company I've been a developer advocate for. And the previous company had total different needs. They need more coding. So it was, now it's different. Now I'm more focused on the content creation and community building part.
Okay, awesome. And what do you think is the most important part for a developer advocate?
Okay, here also my own definition. I think it's being authentic as a developer advocate because if you work for a company, if you get a salary for a company, it can be hard to have like honest feedback. Like, I don't like this, I don't like that. Instead, I think that a company hires you as a developer advocate because they want you to know, like, do you think this is good for developers or not? So this is the biggest and the most important thing as a developer. You are working, let's say, on the edge of the company. Your role is also to say, okay, so this is a bad idea, I'm sorry, but developers will not like that. And you are the person who is in charge of this hard task, let's say.
All right. I read a tweet the other day about developer advocacy. So you either how was it? You either die a developer, or you live long enough to see yourself become a developer advocate. Do you think that it's a natural sort of path you have to go, or you go as a developer, or you need a particular set of skills to become a developer advocate?
Yes. Okay. Just let me say that I started on Twitter in 2020, and now 90% of the people I've connected with, they are developer advocates, and you are not exception, Mark. So everyone is becoming a developer advocate. But I think that these stats are biased because we are talking about people who are active on social media. So that's the first step, maybe, to become a developer advocate. So we are not seeing people who are not active on social media, but we are seeing people growing on social media, creating content, creating connections with other people who are also creating content. I don't want to say that it's inevitable, but it's a path that many people they want to try. I'm not an exception in this. I have got an offer, and I think that is a very good thing is that if you are a developer advocate, you can keep focusing on social media, making videos, getting experience, making videos, making interviews like you're doing now. You're doing a great job, and that's it.
Thank you, Francesco. Do you think it's necessary for a developer advocate to get into the field to have a large following?
Absolutely not. So this is something that doesn't hurt. Some companies contact you just because you have many followers. By the way, everything is relative, of course. Absolutely not. I think that some sort of social media presence somewhere, it can be nice. So you already have some connections. So I think this doesn't hurt. But I mean, there are different social media. Someone can be more focused on LinkedIn rather than Twitter. So my answer is no. It doesn't hurt. Maybe also to be connected with more people at the beginning. But that's it. You can also, I don't know, maybe you built an audience, I don't know, on cars. So it has nothing to do with developers. So it also depends on the audience you built your followers. And companies should be aware of this. Just if you go someone who has 1 million followers, but they have some people who are not developers, maybe it's something different. So that's it.
All right. So I think as a developer advocate, a natural sort of skill you need to have is being good at building communities. You have your own very successful Twitter community. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Okay. Let me say that many companies they need a community builder, community manager. I don't know. There are different names. They are under the bell of the advocacy part, and I think that building a community is one of the hardest things. And to be honest, I think that having a social media presence and building a community is a bit different. So I don't agree 100%. I think that on Twitter I have more like social media presence. The community, I'm building a community of content creators more using Discord. So it's a bit different other than having just followers. Again, it doesn't hurt, but it's something different. You can have a huge social media presence, but then you say, I built a community and almost nobody joins. This is more or less what happens, because I had like some thousands of followers, but creating a community, so a place where people will have a common goal, I think it's not social media presence. So I'm working on building a community of content creators. We're also starting to build a community dedicated for daily dev, but it's a different thing.
Yeah, I think building a community needs to be more, you need to be more like genuine about what you want to do. Like you have a community for content creators, so you are passionate about that. And I think it's important to not, like, it's not sales at all. You just have to try to help people, right?
Yes, it depends on which kind of community you want to create. Usually developers are a bit allergic to sales, so they start having like scratching if you talk about sales. But of course, it's not like that for all the things. Talking about communities, I think it's very important to have a very clear goal, and then you build the goal, you build the community around that goal. And of course, there are different types of community. I don't know. For WeAreDevelopers can be, I don't know, creating a community for people who want to participate to the event, or they want to speak at the event. So it should be very clear since the beginning. You have to convince people why should they stay in your Slack channel or Discord server instead of just using social media. You have to convince them, and it's harder than you can think, because people are busy. Everyone is busy. We have some stuff to do. They want visibility, but just convincing people, I think you have to convince people almost one by one. And I think the magic happens when you have people, like now it's happening in the community I founded, when people in the community, they start advocating for the community itself. This is where the magic happens. Now I'm super happy of the community that I'm building, and I hope to do the same for daily dev soon.
Wow, that's amazing. So you have this community for content creators, but you also have another community that is about learning Web3. Is it?
Okay. Yes. Okay. So I am the bad guy here in this community. We had like a Web3 room at the bottom, like really far. But no, it's I have building a community. Web3 for me is more a project inside the community for now. So the goal of my community is having a community of content creators. It's called 4C, stands for Cool Community of Content Creators. And inside that, we have different projects. And one of the projects is the free Web3 project, which is more about sharing content about Web3. But this is like a sub-project, because the community I built, I'm building, still building. You'll never get done with building a community. It's let's say I've done this earlier, almost 2 years ago. So,
but I mean, you have a Twitter community about it, and it's rather successful. So I would argue that you are building a community, but not even trying. Yeah, but coming back to that, before like starting this community, now I found out that it wasn't even planned. But either way, I want to ask you: did you know Web3 before starting it, or did you just learn it on the go and share stuff on the go? How did it go? How did
yes.
go?
So about Web3, it's something that I started actively less than 1 year ago. I'm happy that now we are talking about this. I made a presentation about Web3 in this conference. I'm super happy, but I'm kind of new on this. And I think it is also connected to the concept of learning in public. This can be the next interview, maybe, but it's something different. So I started the community way before because I think that, as I said, I'm building this community of content creators. So I want this on purpose to be wide. So about content creation. So I don't know how to edit videos, how making collaborations, making workshops on how you can create content. Also from a mental perspective. So removing blocks, starting podcasts, something like that. Because I think it's very hard to create content at the beginning. So this is because it was hard for me. So I decided to create a community to make people's life a bit easier at the beginning. And also because I think there are many good content creators who don't have the visibility they deserve. So that's the main goal. Give more visibility to good content creators that don't have enough social media presence. So this is the goal of the community, and we are very focused on this.
All right. I had a question now in mind, and it sort of went away. So I'm just going to ask you the next question, and I will come back to this when in a second I will remember. So what is your advice for someone that wants to get into developer advocacy or building communities, that wants to do more stuff with developers or communities in general? What would you suggest? Where can they start? How does it even work to get into that field?
Okay, I have a bit sort of unpopular opinion on this, but this is what worked for me. So this is my unpopular tip. I would say that instead of just reaching out to 100 companies saying like, oh, do you need a developer advocate by chance? I think that in 90% of the cases, the company should reach out to you, and I'll explain you why. So I would suggest to focus on the content creation, focus on building your community. The reason is that, as I said before, companies have different needs, and usually they know what the company needs, and you usually don't have an idea of what the company needs. I didn't have a precise idea of what daily.dev needs before I joined. I don't know about you, if you had a complete idea. Usually, the company, they like what you do, how you express yourself, the way you expose yourself, the way you communicate. So I think they should reach out to you. If you really like a company, maybe you can follow the company, find some friends there, starting making some connections. But I think that the right way is to don't reach out many companies just because you want a developer advocate role. Instead, if you focus on doing good, I think that you have the opposite problem, which is to choose between which is the best company for you. So this is, I think it's a good approach. So doing good and waiting for people reaching out for you.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because I sort of, and this came out of sort of nowhere. Like I was just working as a Vue developer, and I was like happy sharing stuff and just being active on Twitter. I like that. And then suddenly Vue Storefront reached out to me, hey, do you want to be developer advocate? And for me, it was very like surprising and like, okay. But now that you say it, it makes total sense, because yeah, they need to see it in you. And if you apply for it, it's already, you're not visible enough for them.
Yes, of course, if you are interested, you should at least know what a developer advocate is, what they usually do, at least so you know, have an idea of what the job will be. For example, I received the first offer as a developer advocate the day after I became a Docker captain for a company which was working for containerization. Is that a coincidence? We will never know. It was not daily.dev, it was another company. But I think they were connected, of course. And then once you start any developer advocate role, then you can switch and you can choose whatever you want. If you find a different company, if your needs, they will change probably in the future. You understand, I don't know, that you like building a community, that you like just creating content. It's a very wide role, and honestly, I love this role, to be honest.
Awesome, thank you. So I remembered the question I had in mind before. It's about work-life balance. Like, I see you do a lot of stuff on Twitter and also on other parts. And for me, it's always like, I couldn't do this much stuff. You do so many things. And I just want to know, what is your way to deal with work-life balance?
Nice. Thank you for saying this, because in my head, I want to do the triple of the things that I'm doing. So thank you, because you're not the only person who's saying this. And about work-life balance, I think it's very important to exercise. For example, today I went for a run with Debbie from Microsoft, and I think this is a life-changing. So for me, the two biggest life-changing, 7 years ago I started, it has been waking up very early, around 4, 5 a.m., and then exercising. These two things, in the long run, they have an impact. So it seems that you are wasting time. I think already in 1 week you see the difference. In months and years, it's a life-changing habit that you can have. By the way, it's very hard to don't gain weight during a conference because you have free food. So it's super hard. So conferences are a bit hard, but in the day-to-day life, this is what I think can really make you go on a different level.
Okay, marvelous. Is there a question from the audience for Francesco? Yes, here.
Okay, my question to you, Francesco, is what is your favorite platform, if it is a platform or maybe it's not, whatever it is, to connect with your audience, but not the one where you're more productive? Where do you enjoy being the most?
Yes. Okay, I'm biased here, and I think that for me, the best platform is Twitter, because first of all, you never forget your first love. So the first social media that when I started to be active, and I think I'm still the most active, it's there. So that's my best platform, because I was very focused on building connections only with developers, laser focused on developers, even if they were making jokes or talking about different aspects. But usually I connect with accounts, because accounts and people are different things. You can have, you like to cook, but for example, I like to cook. Of course, I'm Italian, but I don't share usually when I cook on social media. So I think that Twitter is a great platform to start, especially because you don't have to expose yourself, expose your face, your body, your funny accent, like my Italian accent. So it's a good place to start. And then you can move on different platforms. Every platform has their own audience, which is very different. And so I think I don't know if are you asking for developers or like in general? Yes. So I will start with Twitter. And I also think that it's better to be Batman on just one platform than being Captain No One on all the platforms. Especially if you are at the beginning, I would suggest to really dive deep, at least 6 months, 9 months of tweeting daily, creating content on a platform daily, and then you can move. But I would not start many social media platforms at the same time. Otherwise, you start stretching yourself. Maybe you also want to have a life, sleep, eat, and have a family, maybe. So this is what I recommend.
Thank you. Any other questions for Francesco? Yes, there.
When you have one, then it's easier.
Well, I would ask, what impact do you think or you would like to achieve in the development community with your work and your...
Okay, this is a great question, an amazing question. So I think that around 3-4 months ago, I started tried some TikTok, Twitch. So I started to experiment different platforms. At some point I said, okay, so what's the point of doing all of this? So I needed a goal, an achievement, which is something that I can't achieve in months, but like years, decades. So I put this funny goal, which is like to reach a community of 1 million people. I have like, I don't know, I'm at 16% now. So of course, this is just for me to have a big goal because I want to know the direction where I'm going to. So I think having also a big achievement, it's good because you have to work on that daily without achieving that in a very short term, and then you don't know what to do. So I think that it's very ambitious, and I'm working on this every day, creating content, talking to people one by one. But one day I hope that I'll achieve that. And,
it's great to have measurable goals. But do you have? It's about numbers. But do you have something like something that you think that it's really important for developers, for your community? It's difficult to talk to a lot of people one-to-one, but
I know.
What do you see?
But we're talking one-to-one now.
Yeah.
So
it's true. It's true.
Yes. So I think it's having an impact on the developers community will be a dream for me. Like having doing something good for the developers, because I think developers are the best community in the world. And I'm not saying this because I am the developers conference, but things like GitHub, something like that, will never exist in other jobs. So developers have a great mindset, and so a goal would be to have an impact on their lives, especially people who are not, I think, as lucky as me. Maybe they work from Nigeria, from India, from Africa. So for them, it's super, super hard to get started. But I think that they have a chance. I know many people who work there. I don't know how they do that because they're working in hard. Like I always say, like everybody's working hard, but someone is working super hard, like because they have difficulties, blackouts. That's not even the worst thing. And yes, I would like to have an impact on this kind of people. So the people who are not that lucky as I've been. I feel that I've been, let's say, a bit privileged, and that's it.
It's a great answer. A great heart to that.
Great question. Thank you. Yeah, Seat?
Hey, Francesco, thanks for joining us on this stage. It's really amazing. And I have two questions. One question is, how do you manage to always have this positive attitude? Because I think that's super important if you want to spread a message. You have always a smile. And the second thing is, someone told me that you like Hawaii pizza, so pizza with ananas. Is that true?
Okay. So I'm not always that positive. Of course, not being positive in a conference like this, on this stage with Marc Baggers, it will be very hard. So I always get some positive energy from the people. This is why I always try to avoid as much as possible all the criticism and other stuff. And I have bad days. Usually when I have bad days, I just don't open social media. That's what I do. And no, I'm not smiling 24/7. But when I smile, I take a picture, so you will see that.
Yeah, okay, could be.
And and about the second question, I don't know what you are talking about. So I'm sorry, I don't know. I'll watch a tutorial on
Fair
what
enough.
is that.
But wasn't it like the deal that when you hit 1 million followers, you will eat that pizza?
What? Sorry, can you repeat?
When you hit 1 million followers, you eat that pizza?
It's not enough.
It's not
10
enough.
million. 10 million.
That's great.
I don't know if that is enough, but okay.
Thank
Let's
you.
see. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Seat. If we don't have any more questions, we will close this session. Francesco also has to leave, I think, soon.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, Francesco, for your answers, also for your time to come here and be with us a little bit. And yes, give it up for Francesco.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marc. And of course, if you have